NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
It is priceless and must be nurtured so it can develop for it to reflect in society. Because no society can effectively exist and progress without well-defined values and culture. Charity, they say, begins at home, so these values should start from the family. Family values involve all the ideas of how you want to live your family life, and they are passed on from generation to generation. They can help define behavior in various situations, help youths make good choices, as they are the foundation of how children grow and solidify the bond that your family has. However, experts have attributed the problems confronting the nation today to breakdown of values in the family. Therefore, the need to strengthen family values have become mandatory because if the family as the fabric of the society is built up properly, the society will be cohesive and stronger. Nevertheless, how well have we fared as a nation in promoting family values?
Our family values vary from culture to culture, and it's also embedded in nowadays our two major religions. So it depends which side of the divide you fall. Like my son is residing here with me in Abuja. I'm a Yoruba man. So I had to teach him when he wake up, I had to show him how to prostrate and say Ekarosa and stuff like that.
When I was growing as a child, my parents taught me how to be disciplined, number one. They taught me how to be God-fearing, because when someone is God-fearing, anywhere you are, you can maintain that ability.
Parents have to put a lot of effort in making sure they give their children basic education and good moral upbringing. Actually, I want to impart a very good value to my children, knowing that if you do something good, you're gonna benefit people around you, society and all that.
President Muhammadu Buhari on prudence in government. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo assures organized private sector of good operational environment, plus a live studio discussion on the aged in the society. All these and more on NTA News Panorama. Good afternoon, my name is Olajide Bello. Buhari says the unshakable resolve by his administration to uphold the principles of transparency and accountability in response to the severe shortage of resources is serving the country in good stead. The president stated these while receiving the executive director of the United Nations Population Fund, Professor Babatunde Oshatemaye, who paid a courtesy visit on the president. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Recalling that crude oil, which sold for over $100 per barrel before he came to power and now crashed to less than $40, President Muhammadu Buhari was emphatic that it has been a very difficult time for Nigeria. He, however, said the administration's commitment to transparency and accountability is a deliberate attempt to make up for the severe shortage of resources, while thanking the UNFPA for its commitment to saving lives in Nigeria, especially women and children. The president asked the UN agency to bear with Nigeria in whichever way the country could not live up to its responsibilities for now. Population explosion and cultural practices in Nigeria, President Buhari said, provide a fertile ground for research to UNFPA and other similar organizations. On food sufficiency, the Nigerian leader said reports from the Northeast are now encouraging as people are returning to their farmlands with a guarantee of relative security. The executive director of the UNFPA, Professor Babatunde Oshatemaye, restated the commitment of the UN agency to promoting healthcare in Nigeria. He, however, made a case for more attention to the provision of health facilities towards enhancing accessibility as well as human resources to man them. Professor Oshatemaye, who is Nigeria's former Minister of Health, pledged that the United Nations will work with the country towards providing humanitarian assistance to the Northeast and the Lake Chad Basin. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has granted audience to the Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka. Details of their discussions held behind closed doors were not made public, and Professor Soyinka declined comments. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The federal government has stressed the need to increase Nigeria's contraceptive prevalence rate from 15.1% to 35% by 2018, as plans are underway to make family planning a national policy. At a two-day National Family Planning Consultative meeting in Abuja, the Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, described a family planning as cost-effective strategy for poverty reduction. Aisha Obali reports.
This is a meeting of key players in the health sector, traditional rulers as well as religious leaders, organized by the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA. It is a collaboration between the UNFPA and the Ministry of Health to ensure a reversal in the current trend in maternal mortality and its prevalence through family planning, in addition to tackling poverty through girl-child empowerment.
Timely access to high-quality emergency obstetric and newborn care, and, very importantly, access to family planning services and education.
We must respect leadership. Government is the most important leadership. Let's work with government. Let's make sure that the resources we bring to the table speak to government, and let government determine where these resources should go.
With 111 women dying every day from pregnancy complications, religious and traditional leaders agree that this trend is unacceptable, especially since most of these deaths can be prevented. Development partners such as USAID and DFID and others also promised the government of support in building an equitable, sustainable society. They also made a case for practical investment in the girl child by government so as to give girls and women access to reproductive health care and information for better reproductive choices. In Abuja, Aisha Obali, NTA News.
And still talking health, with 2 years of Nigeria celebrating a halt in polio virus transmission, the news of incidents of polio in two local government areas of Borno State, Jere and Goza, has come as a surprise. The Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, and the Borno State Commissioner of Health, Haruna Michelia, both reacted to this in a short interview with health correspondent at the State House.
Organization will also involve the whole state very soon. But like I said, we're going to meet with the minister, with the WHO and all other partners so that we strategize again and make sure that all children that are being liberated from these areas are properly immunized.
We have the development. It has set us back, but I can assure the nation that we will do everything possible to get on top of the situation. We are meeting again today. We had a meeting yesterday evening to look at the situation. We are drawing up an emergency plan, and in the next 48 hours we are dispersing a team there, and we are going to start immunization. We will do 3 rounds of special immunization campaign to make sure that we contain the situation. One is from Goza, which is actually close to the border, and the other one is Jere. We suspect that both of them are linked to the insurgent enclaves. We were expecting nutrition and a few other problems, but we have this. As a nation, we will rise up to the challenge. We are assured by our international partners, and we will mount a robust response.
The unusual circumstance occasioned by insurgency in the area might have led health officials to anticipate some public health challenges, but the minister said the government did not envisage polio. An immunization exercise is to commence immediately in the affected areas. The commissioner said total coverage will soon begin as the state government and relevant partners are meeting to strategize on how to prevent the spread. Nigeria and the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization UNESCO have resolved to make concrete concerted efforts towards enhancing youth education, culture of peace and safe schools.
Implementation of his vision for change Nigeria and in order to implement the Sustainable Development Goals.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who led 7 ministers to the interactive session, expressed serious concern over the threat of extinction being faced by Lake Chad arising from the effect of climate change. He warned that unless urgent steps are taken by the international community to regenerate the lake, those living in the region now suffering untold hardship will be forced to dare the desert to migrate and create more problems for them. Nigeria, the president said, does not have the billions of dollars required to channel water from the Congo River into the lake to check its rapid depletion, and solicited the support of the developed countries in mobilizing resources and technology towards saving the lake. He commended UNESCO's support to Nigeria in respect of the ongoing rehabilitation work in the Northeast and the reintegration of the internally displaced persons. The Director General of UNESCO, Mrs. Bokova, said her visit to Nigeria is to strengthen the organization's programs in the areas of science and technology, gender and youth development, culture, water resources development, as well as health and environment.
We spoke, of course, about the challenges of economic growth, diversifying the economy, competencies, technical vocational training, the role of the higher education, the challenges of Lake Chad, and I supported the initiative of the Minister of Water Cooperation to hold an international conference. UNESCO has been involved for a long time. I personally have been 4 years ago crossed on a boat Lake Chad, and I saw what are the challenges of the local communities. It's not only an ecological catastrophe, but it is also concerns the livelihoods of millions of people.
Mrs. Bokova is on a week-long visit to West and Central Africa. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The Director General of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, Irina Bokova, has challenged Nigeria to embrace the organization's new humanitarian approach as a guide in her quest for human development, social inclusion and the fight against extremism. She said this during a visit to the Ministry of Education. Franca Uzoma Olwa reports.
As one of the credible UN organizations, UNESCO has the responsibility to educate people, preserve their culture, promote gender equality and climate change. Its Director General, Irina Bokova, says the organization currently lays more emphasis on quality education and inclusiveness in line with the Sustainable Development Goal 4.
I know also that Nigeria and your government is putting a strong emphasis on the new technologies.
Education Minister Adamu reiterates Nigeria's commitment to deepen her relationship with UNESCO.
Peace in the world will not be established by the gun. It will only be established by discovery and respect of cultures.
The National Open University of Nigeria, (NAUN), is collaborating with UNESCO in the area of open education resource.
So the idea behind OER is to generate a knowledge base so that people become more and more educated, and all of it is supported by UNESCO.
To ensure the resuscitation of not only those 4 or 5 chairs that we lost recently, but to look for more chairs in different areas to go and be cited in different universities in this country.
This is the third official visit of Irina Bokova to Nigeria as Director General of UNESCO. Franca Uzoma Olwa, NTA News.
Away from education now, the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has assured the Nigerian business community of government's determination to tackle various bottlenecks impeding the ease of doing business in the country. He gave these assurances when he met with some members of the organized private sector at the 2016 Presidential Policy Dialogue in Lagos. Amechi Pius has details.
The forum provided participants drawn from various sectors of the economy an opportunity to have an insight into various government policies. The myriad of problems presented to the Vice President by some captain of industries include inflation, depreciating value of the naira, insecurity, and absence of critical infrastructure such as power, all of which, they explained, have negatively affected the ease of doing business in the country. Vice President Yemi Oshibajo, while responding, pointed out clearly that government is aware of these challenges and will continue to dialogue with the private sector to address them.
These challenges are significant, but the opportunities to get it right are even more significant. For us, focus, steadfastness, and consistency are crucial.
Apart from reducing fiscal and foreign exchange imbalances, the Vice President expressed government's determination to curb inflation, lower interest rate, and ensure lending to the real sector, as well as promote viable public-private partnership to increase foreign direct investment into the country.
I believe that the foreign exchange market will stabilize, confidence will be restored, and that there will be an increase in the supply of foreign exchange, especially due to inward investments and increased receipts from non-oil exports. We've also pledged to keep capital spending in the budget at a minimum of 30%. This is a target that we're determined to keep since it is investment that grows an economy. Accordingly, we've already made capital releases of 332 billion naira, which is more than the entire amount of capital released last year, with another 100 billion naira set to be released in the next few days.
Chairman of the occasion, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, described such dialogue as critical to the effective implementation of government's policies. Some participants who spoke to NTA News at the end of the session say they are optimistic.
We are the people that are going to implement those policies together with government. We are the actors, so there is nobody that is coming from moon. All of us here are the people that are going to do it.
I think the current administration should give you a bit more time. I mean, you cannot solve a problem that has been there in the last, in the last couple of years overnight.
The 2016 Presidential Policy Dialogue was organized by the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. In Lagos, Amechi Pius, NTA News.
Now, away from business now to matters relating to the aged, and joining me in the studio is the Executive Director of Dave Omokaro Foundation, Dr. M.M. Omokaro, to discuss the issue of caring for the elderly. Welcome to the program, Dr. M.M.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, now let's start. What is aging and what is the present and projected population of Nigeria's older population?
Aging is simply the process of growing older. Simply the process, but it's not a unique process. It's a multiple and interactive process, because you have factors. You have biological factors, you have environmental factors, you have socio-economic factors, you have your behavioral factors. So all these come together to determine your experience of aging. So that's the process.
What's like the projected population of?
Oh, presently,
Nigeria?
maybe I go back 1991, that was 4.5. 2006, it became 6.7. Now, presently, it's projected at 8.4. So you see that there's an astronomical increase in the number of older persons in Nigeria. And these have socioeconomic and health implications. And as you know, traditionally, care of the older persons fell to the family, and is becoming increasingly clear now that the family simply cannot handle, the increasing number, and family support system has been compromised. So it's time now for the government to determine a policy direction, policy orientation for aging, a national framework of aging. How are Nigerians aging? And what are those things that have been put in place for income security, for, of course, the health care of the older persons, long-term care indeed. And then what about enabling and supportive environment? And what about the factor of actually including older persons in the development agenda? Because older persons all along, they have been excluded. How do you mainstream aging?
All right, just like you rightly said, is there a cause for concern, and what is the status of well-being of Nigerian senior citizens?
Yes, there is a cause for concern. As a matter of fact, and we are. Why is there a cause for concern? Because it is proven that the aging process is a major driver of non-communicable diseases. The aging process is a major driver of poverty. So where you live your older persons, as a matter of fact, where you live your growing population, because as you see, aging is a natural process. It's a process. So in other words, the people that are 45 today are going to be 50 and they're going to be 60. So how do you direct that process so that people live healthily and people live with skills and people live with social security, that when they get to that age, they can continually be engaged. They don't get to that age and become redundant. They don't get to that age and become functionally disabled. They don't get to that age and become depressed. As a matter of fact, they don't get to that age and they are abused, because elder abuse is becoming a social problem, as it were now. So it's a cause for concern. And
Okay, is there a coordinated government and non-government response to the condition?
As a matter of fact, I would say yes. We have a statutory institution, the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, but I would dare to say here that that ministry cannot adequately handle the problem and the challenges of aging. Aging issues should be mainstreamed across all the ministries, because you have housing issues, you have transportation. When you find policies, you go to a health policy, you go to housing policy. All those policies, at the onset, when you look at it, you think that the goals are universal. I mean, it covers every Nigerian. But when you move down to the targets, and you go to defining the indicators when you get to the field, you find that that population cohort, they have been left behind. So these are the issues. So I think, and I ask that as the NGOs, bottom up, they are coming and creating the awareness. One is to develop capacity, get the institutions developed, get the desk, every ministry to have a desk on aging. And then, of course, you build social policy. There has to be a policy on aging, and of course, legislation. And we are working on that.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for those constructive contributions. And it has been the Executive Director, Dave Omokaru Foundation, Dr. M.M. Omokaru, discussing on the issues of the elderly in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
for joining us.
Thank you.
Moving on now. The Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, has called on tourism practitioners in the country to embrace the current efforts towards raising Nigeria's image abroad. The minister made the call while interacting with executive members of the association in Abuja. Anthony Forson reports.
The minister, who briefed members of the association about federal government's determination to grow the sector, equally intimated them of the United Nations World Tourism Organization's pledge to support Nigeria.
They have agreed to help us review our master plan on tourism. And they promised us that if we give them enough notice of the first meeting of the PCT, they are going to arrange a world international conference on tourism in Maiduguri, and the theme will be tourism as a tool for peace and reconciliation.
He said the negative perception about tourism must change, hence the need for the practitioners to engage in those things that promotes the image of the country.
And here again, I want to appeal to the media too. You do not need to spread news about Nigeria that is going to hurt tourism.
National President of the Association, Kabir Malang, commended the minister for the giant strides taken so far in making tourism vibrant. He pledged the association's desire to work in partnership with the ministry. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Away from tourism now to some political matters, the People's Democratic Party has assured aspirants to the various elective offices of a level playing field at the party's national convention in Port Harcourt next week. The chairman of the party's board of trustees, Senator Wali Jibril, gave the assurance at a media briefing in Abuja. Abdullahi Garba Birinin Kudu has details.
Given an update on the current reconciliation efforts by the Board of Trustees, Senator Walid Jibril said progress has been made.
That things are going in the best possible way of settlement. And the party is going to be revived. The party is going to be one entity without any problem that we used to be before.
Meanwhile, the party's temporary secretariat is a beehive of activities as aspirants continue to pick nomination forms for the 21 elective positions. Notable among them are Chief Raymond Depesi, Olabode George, Jimmy Abaje for national chairman.
I have paid my dues in this party. Since 1998, I had been, never left the party for anywhere.
My mission is to serve the party, is to return the party to the vision of the founding fathers.
Also in the race is Mr. George Turner for the office of Deputy National Chairman 1.
We will preach the gospel of putting every